Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back. It's me, Sean the Gambler. We're back week number 3. And yeah, no drink of the day today. It's Sunday evening, so I'm kind of just chilling, getting ready for the week. But I did want to, come out with this video and keep you guys posted and updated on what's been going on. So last week we had our first losing week, which brought the total equity back down under zero. So we're a little bit red on the strategy right now, but that's okay. I actually feel like I've learned quite a bit between this week's lessons and just this week's last week's observations. I've started to realize a certain portion of the strategy with Tom that he's teaching me that doesn't appear to be working too well for me. And I've also identified and found a piece of the strategy which I have been able to identify consistently and looks like it's been kind of working consistently. So that's kind of a good thing. I will attribute a lot of these things to my journal. So this week I really wanted to go into what I feel is like kind of the importance of journaling your trades and journaling everything that you guys, or that I do, in order to improve myself and improve my strategy. This was actually the way that I initially became profitable in trading, is through my journal. And I just wanted to highlight kind of the importance of it this week. And I also wanted to show you guys how I plan on using my journal to get profitable with Tom's strategy as well. So I know a lot of guys, I've talked to a lot of guys in the past that have been kind of like hit and miss with the journal. It is a very tedious process, writing down all your trades, the entry points, the stop loss, taking screenshots, and writing down what you're thinking, your thought process through the trades. And it can be especially tedious if you're one of those guys that, you take several trades a day, and having to journal that, it can take a significant amount of time at the end of the day or whatever. But I do feel like it is important, for me personally, to improve. It's like, how do you know what works and what doesn't without, without falling victim to recency bias if you don't have it written down? How are you going to improve? How do you know? It's really hard to ignore hard numbers. You see a setup and you take the setup and you've been journaling it for like 5 months. And after 5 months, you go back and you look at your journal and you see that, hey, this setup only works 20% of the time and I've been consistently losing money with that. It's very hard to ignore that hard fact written down on paper, as opposed to you just go along trading and sometimes you win and sometimes you lose, and you had a big winner recently, so it's probably on its way back up or whatever. But if you would have been journaling the whole time, you would see that, yeah, I had a big winner, but it's been consistently losing, or hey, this setup is consistently winning, or even more detailed stuff like, okay, this setup wins approximately X amount of time, but I appear to be getting out too early all the time, or my stop loss, when it does work, I'm usually spot on with my entry, but my stop loss is way wider than it needs to be, so I can reduce my stop, reduce my risk on these trades, or whatever it is. But all these things I feel like come from a journal, and I do feel like it's very important. Me personally, I use edgewonk. Tom, I believe, also uses edgewonk. I think he mentioned it a long time ago. I looked into it, and I've been using edgewonk now for probably 2.5, 3 years. I find it to be very good. I'm not sponsored or anything like that, endorsed by edgewonk. It's just what I personally use, and I'll show you guys a little bit of it, but it really just does break down every single little thing, and you can really just kind of pick apart your strategy and see, what appears to be working and what's not working. So I will show you guys a little bit of that. This week, though, we did improve on our goals from last week. We did not take any trades really outside of our plan. There was one plan that was kind of vague that I should have made a little bit more specific, which messed me up a little bit because it was kind of vague. But at the end of the day, we did take all the trades according to plan, which is really good. And yeah, so I guess let's get into it. The reason I am kind of harping on this journal, I just want to tell a quick story, is one time I was trading, and I had told myself the night before, right, that I was going to wait for the breakout of a level before buying it, right? So I said, okay, I'm gonna wait. I go to sleep, I wake up the next morning, I look at the charts, and at that point the markets are moving around very quickly. You get excited as the markets are moving around, it's coming close to your level and all this and that. And I was just like, it didn't quite break out, but I was like, oh, it's close enough, and I just hit it again, not following what I said I was going to do, right? Not following my plan, and I hit it, and it lost immediately, and I was so mad at myself. I was so pissed off with myself because the night before I literally said I'm not gonna buy this until it closes above this level because it could reject. And the morning, what do? I get excited, I FOMO in, and boom, it instantly rejects just like I thought it would. And I remember thinking to myself, I can't believe I've done this again. How many times have I done this? And I had no clue how many times I had done it, but I know I had done it. Sorry guys, my iPhone ran out of space, so I had to cut the last video. It stopped mid-sentence on me, and now I'm back again. But anyways, like I was saying, I knew I made the mistakes several times before, and so I was just thinking, like, how many times have I made other mistakes that I'm not even aware of that's just the same thing over and over and over and recurring again. So I went downstairs and I stormed out of my apartment because I was so pissed off with myself. And instantly I had to take a walk. So I walked to the nearest grocery store and bought a spiral notebook, which is actually this notebook right here. I'm still using it to this day. I write down, pretty much everything in here, my daily plans. I write down, every week when I do my reviews, what I did well, what I think I did well, what I did poorly, how I can improve. So I just wanted to, kind of highlight why I think journals are important, and I'm going to show you on the screen, how I plan to use my journal and edgewonk to improve and get profitable with Tom's strategy. And I'm going to also show you guys the trades from last week as well as the current trade we're in right now. So hope you guys enjoy. All right, so I just wanted to show you guys some screenshots from my journal, since my journal is actually on my other computer. But I just wanted to basically kind of show you guys how I plan on using the journal. I basically have all the different setups here, and I organize them. Basically, you go in and you create what type of setup you want to do, or you name it all yourself. So as you can see, like when you enter the trade in here, the setup name is, you create these setup names, you write all the instruments you trade, you enter the price that you enter in at, the quantity, the stop loss, actual profit and loss, the times you enter, and all that sort of stuff. So this is the actual just like raw kind of numbers and mechanics of your trade. And then here on this next thing is where it gets interesting, is you attach all the screenshots. So every time you take a trade or you want to go back in time and see, oh, you have an idea of certain things, you can go back and look at the screenshots of all your old trades and what it looked like when it set up and how it played out and everything like that, which can be very helpful when you have an idea of how you can improve and you want to go back and look at all your old trades. But this is really where I find to be the most helpful, is because you can actually create custom statistics. So custom things like, oh, it touched this level 3 times, or, was it during a major session or outside of a major session? Was it with weekly flow against weekly flow? And you can just tag each trade with certain things. And then eventually, once you have a decent sample size, you can go in and filter out, okay, every trade that was with weekly flow, what's the percentage of how accurate that is? And sometimes you can find that certain characteristics actually link all of your losers together. So that can be super helpful. But one thing I noticed right away just from this was these D1 liquidity probes. You can see I've had 4 of those opportunities, we'll call them, and all 4 of them were losers. So I wanted to see, okay, is it something I'm doing, or kind of what's going on with those? And I took 2 of them this week. So I took dollar CAD and USD JPY. Well, that was last week. And they were those are both of the losers I was telling you about, and I'm in an Aussie dollar trade right now. But you can see both of these were liquidity probe ideas. The cable last week was a liquidity probe idea. This Euro GBP was a liquidity probe idea, and they don't seem to be working too well. If I would have cut those out, I'd be 1-1 right now, which obviously is perfectly fine. But this is the point of journaling and some of the importance of journaling. So what I actually found was I went back and I reviewed all these D1 liquidity trades, and I'll go over them right now. So the first trade I wanted to talk about that I took was a trade in the dollar Canadian, and this really was an incorrect trade. I kind of made a mistake here. I shouldn't have taken this trade because but basically I was going for some the stops up here, and I thought there might be a lot of liquidity there. So when price came around, we were like right about here. We were right about here, and I was thinking, okay, we're probably gonna go for these highs here based on, we failed to break lower here, so it's likely going to revisit up here. Now, what I should recognize was that actually the first trouble area that Tom always talks about, the target for if we're going for a long here, would have actually been this area here, right? And we are actually, so once it gets beyond this point, we just kind of leave, or we should be leaving the trade alone. And I was trying to get in up here, so luckily, I realized that after I got in the trade. So the actual trade set up where it broke out and I tried to buy this high here, right here, looking for that. But I recognized it when it was around here. My stop loss was pretty low, thank goodness. But stop loss was like down here, I believe. But I recognized it here. So I was able to just close that out once I realized I had made a mistake, and I lost, half an hour on that, or I know you guys probably saw on the last thing. I'm basically risking around 200 a trade, so I lost $100 there. Half an hour, whatever. The next trade I took was this dollar yen, and this is where I started noticing a pattern with these liquidity probes that haven't been working out for me. So when I was looking at it, I saw this low. Was it? No, it was. I'm sorry. It was this low, and this low here. Right? And I was thinking, okay, we're probably going to make, and at the time the trade was here, so I was thinking we're probably going to make a run on these lows. So when we get to the hourly, we were actually trading right here. And it broke down through this support level, and I sold it on a return here, looking to run this. I had my stop, above the out of the way of these lows up here, and price just squeezed and then ran. I got stopped out for a loss, but I noticed that the same thing happened on Euro GBP. It squeezed me and ran. Same thing, pretty much. It was right here. I tried to take a short on the Euro GBP. If you guys remember, it squeezed up and then ran. And I noticed that on a couple other instances as well. And I'm starting to see that these trades don't seem to happen. I mean, they do run the liquidity, but it doesn't necessarily happen as we would expect it. We seem to be getting squeezed quite a bit on them, and they just don't seem as precise as some of the other setups I've seen. So, I kind of want to just leave those alone for now and focus on focus on the setups that are clearer to me. I will still be watching them. It's not like I'm just completely ditching this strategy. It's only 4 trades after all. It's a small sample size, but I will be definitely a bit more cautious with them. And that's just one thing I noticed straight away from my journal. And the last trade I took this week or last week that I'm actually still involved in was this Aussie dollar long here. If you, to frame the trade, you're going to have to see basically we had this bullish engulfing in an area that I liked, kind of came back into this support area. We had a bullish engulfing, and the target for that would be these highs, since that's the next level to the upside. So once I saw that, I wanted to get involved on the hourly. And initially, the price was here when that bullish engulfing was, and I initially wanted to get back long on a pullback here to go up to there. But it just didn't pull back, and I had this level marked out on the chart here, as you can see beforehand, and I saw price reject from it again here, then break out and give us that rounded kind of return. And so when I saw that, I decided to buy it here. Now, this is what I was talking about with the vagueness of my plan. I knew I had this level and I knew I wanted to buy, but I didn't write it down. And so I wasn't super like, definitive on like, okay, I'm gonna buy this, for sure. So when I woke up in the morning and price was coming into the level, I was like, oh man, I should really buy this. This is kind of what I wanted. This was what I was looking for, but I hesitated, so I didn't get as good of a fill as I should have. I actually ended up getting filled around here because it started to move up, and I was like, okay, I got to get in. This is clearly what I was waiting for, and I'm just not pulling the trigger here. I'll bring onto the screen. This is just my I chart on one and I trade on another thing. So I'll show you the actual order and stuff. But the next idea I have, so now we're going to target. Hopefully it hits target. That'll be nice. But my next idea or plan for Aussie dollars, if this thing does, you see it broke out of this level here. If it does make a round retest back into this little last high here, I will be buying more, adding more to the trade, and trying to squeeze a little bit more juice out of this thing. All right, so here's the Aussie dollar. You can see I am actually long this market. You can see I bought some there and didn't get as good as fill as I wanted, but it's all right. We were able to move the stop up pretty much to break even at this point, since it's cleared all these levels. Like I said, I will be looking to buy more here. We'll see what happens. But hopefully this thing gets to our target and puts us back green on the strategy. So I guess we'll see. I have my first one-to-one session with Tom this week, actually on Monday, tomorrow. So that's exciting. I'll be able to ask him a bunch of questions, get a little bit more clarity, and maybe figure out what I'm doing wrong with these liquidity probes, or if it's just something I should just kind of work with things that I'm seeing more clearly personally. But yeah. So I just wanted to quickly show you guys updated shot of our equity curve here. Clearly, you see we were here the end of last week, I think right here, and the end of this week we were down just below zero again. But hopefully with this Aussie trade, we'll be able to bring it back up. Let's just see what happens. All right, so that was all the trading this week. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Please remember, if you want to support, I really appreciate it. Like, comment, subscribe. Anything helps. Again, thank you guys. I'll see you next week for more updates.